Hello, everyone. Okay, I have a big one now to review. This is Buy My Comics. Now, Buy My Comics wrote a note. Many of you wrote notes. Some of them I'm reading, some of them not. Thanks for the opportunity to participate. Independent comics and voices brought me back into the comic after years of on and off collecting. I wanted to share some indie and self-published books, zines, and newspapers that inspire me. Enjoy. Buy My Comics. So, we have his Instagram page. Above me, we have his logo next to me, and that's really so you can find him. Make sure that you're connecting with the right person. This mystery box was the hardest to judge. Now, once again, I did not judge any of these boxes. That was left up to our three judges. They went through it. Now, I have a large indie collection. Probably somewhere in the range of 20,000 comics. I have a large self-published collection. Not nearly as big. Probably around 3,000 comics of self-published. Very different. And then I have an underground collection as well. Probably around 3,000 as well. I understand what it means to go away from comics and to come back. There's always what you had before, and you're always kind of wanting to get back to what you had before. But there's excuse that. There is a subset or a series or something that really throws you in into the deep section, so to speak. So, following what Buy My Comics said, this is going to be very different. These will not be comics that you recognize, or maybe you do. And they certainly won't be books you recognize. So, it's a very large box. The box was not in the greatest of shape when it showed up. But that's okay. And setting the tone now for this, I don't think it's going to judge well. Because it takes a certain kind of person to be excited about independent, not mainstream independent, or self-published. It takes a person that's not worried about spec. They're not worried about upcoming movies, and they are more worried about the potential that comics give us as writers, as people who are creative or imaginative, whatever the case might be. That's the kind of people that go after these independent books. So I'm not surprised if it's not the general audience's kind of thing. So let me start pulling these out. They're next to me here. So the first thing, sorry, I lost a couple things over here. The first thing that was presented was a couple of newsprint magazines. These are very difficult to keep in good shape. You can see that there is some discoloring going on, but these are often, you'll find these in comic book stores that are a little more open to hosting self-published books. So there's a couple stores in Santa Cruz, California, which is like this. creative stuff, funny stuff, and interesting to page through and read. The newspaper prints. So there's five newspaper prints here. I don't know if there's a whole lot of value there, monetary value, that is. I had a good time going through them and seeing what there was. But that's not going to be everyone's deal. So then, once you opened up, you've got these 5 newspapers across the top, and then you had a slab. I'm not going to talk about the slab just yet. And then you had these bundles in paper. So, let's talk about those bundles. So, they're mostly books. So, this is The Smartest Kid. Oh, camera's the other way around. This is The Smartest Kid. It's really hard to see, but once again, if you're interested in this, the guy's name is Jimmy, right? Yeah, Jimmy Corrigan. It's available on Amazon. It's good reading, good fun. Talks about some real topics every now and then. The animation style, the drawing style is very interesting, sometimes very bland, but for good reason. There is a want to focus on certain things. I can't really go into detail about all the books because there's so many. Yeah, we have Iceland. We have Two Eyes of the Beautiful. That's self-published by Ryan. Clayton Jr. Temporama. I don't know what that is. Is it black and white? The Kindlin Quarterly. This is particularly weird. But it's good stuff. And you'll notice that the prices aren't outrageous. $2 books, $3 books. Here's Mowgli's Mirror. I'm not gonna show you certain pages because he always seems to have his junk out. But once again, self-published, quite nice. A little strange at times. 400 stories. Fielder. Another unique art style. Destroy All Lizardmen. This is by 2 artists, Anna Fitch and James Turek. Goat Song. And then another big book. This is Rusty Brown, I think. So another big book. So I certainly did not do these credits. It's not it's not a 30-page or 22-page comic book. I can't just page through it and tell you exactly how I feel about it. There's certain books in there that I know I'm going to be reading. I know I'm going to be looking at. And I certainly find indies interesting. Okay, I'm just cleaning up over here. There's a lot going on. If any of you have a recommendation out of these books, or you would like to see more of a particular book, I can certainly do that. So there's a list of those books. Okay. So then we hit the Raw section. And once again, a lot of Raw comics. Some of them very familiar. Others not so much. It actually was interesting because, sorry, I'm just cleaning up the list. It was interesting because I was able to fill in a gap or two, which is great. And it also introduced me to books I didn't know. Well, I didn't know I should be collecting them. So it added a few to it there. So that was good. Okay, so we're going to do Raws, and then we're going to do... yeah, and then we'll do Slabs. Okay, cool. I know, not the best look. Alright. So the Shatter, all, big deal, all first computerized comic. It's not actually true. I would say that it's the first the first widely distributed computer comic. There's certainly people printing comics on their dot matrix computers and making really bad comics by our standards way before this, but this was the first widely distributed one. So it's a good comic. It's actually a little hard to look at when you're reading it because of the art style. Sorry, it's like 110 degrees in my office. It's 9 o'clock at night. But it's a must-have in a collection to when you try to understand where comics came from, where they were going in the 80s, and then where we ended up today. Optic Nerve. Yeah. Another one that's pretty popular. This I don't have. MFKZ. It's a beautiful cover. Something that you would have doodled in school. It's hard to see because I have my overhead light on. But anyways, Invincible, Haggard West, final issue. You know what the bummer is about these is that it's really hard to get complete sets of these sets because they are they're hard to find. They just are hard to find. Yeah. Hellboy, The Corpse of the Nine Shoes. The Corpse of the Nine Shoes is probably I would say it's the easiest Hellboy to collect. It's the easiest ones to find on the market. It's a one shot, but there's a lot of them. So anyways, okay. Free Speeches. This is Ani's. Ani makes some good books. I think they're very under appreciated in the market. Copra, I didn't know what this was when I first saw it. Very cool. Definitely gonna be starting to collect that. Cerebus, I'm quite far in my Cerebus collection. This is a one-off, a one-shot, if you will. Guide to self-publishing. These guys have really seen the gamut of publishing. They've done spin-offs, they've done reprints, they've done historical reprints, or vintage reprints, really all over the place. So they know what they're doing. It's a good book to get. Barbaric Tales. This is your typical indie, borderline underground printing. Right here. Daffy. I have a couple of these. Malice in Wonderland. Here's your more stereotypical Cerebus, the latter days. So what I like about Cerebus 2 is that the number, most of their comics fall within the general number system. So even though they have different subtitles or subcategories, you just keep collecting them. And I'll fall into the number system. The Star Age Classics, it's another good one. It's a Neil Adams storyline art. Very fantasy. It's good. These are all good. There's just a lot of them, so I'm not giving them the proper time. And I will read these all. Unlike some of the more mainstream comics, you read it once, like 4 years ago, and you don't need to read it again. But these is worth refreshing your memory about. Anything Goes was I'm trying to remember this off the back of my head, but this is sort of a magazine almost and it had different artists being featured, different writers, and it was people that couldn't necessarily or didn't want to necessarily have their own title, and so they could gather together into a book. It's very akin to the comic journal. So the Eclipse Monthly is the same way. So that's cool. 2 of those. I have a few of those. Another Optic Nerve. Darkness Calls. So Darkness Calls is a series of 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Very good Hellboy story. Hellboy has an Ape-Sibian sort of, but anyways, Hellboy has several of these mini series or mini sagas, and it's really easy to collect them. It's recognizable. There's a lot of them were made. So if you're looking to get into indie, Hellboy is a really easy way in. The writing is good. The artwork is good for the most part. Every now and then you wonder if everyone was completely sane. I know that's not fair, but that's just my opinion. My opinion is never fair. And then we have... I'm going to move this up. To there. Crap. That's fine. And then we have the Slab. So, not too many people know what Miller Publishing is, but it's a very nice Slab. It's a 9.6, which actually is a really good rating for an indie slash underground slash self-publishing that's not supplied by the typical Diamond route, because these often had a really hard path to getting to people's hands. So more than often it was hand delivered to a comic book shop, or at a convention. There was a small old booth that the guy went through hell getting his comics to. So that's really nice. I really like that. This actually, you can find this Slab out on eBay. Probably looking at about 150 to 200. And then last but not least, I wasn't actually sure what this is. So it's a pamphlet. I'll put my neck out that far. May 2020, issue 15, Hype Pup. So on the inside is writing. And on the outside, it's actually got a Batman. It's a print. I mean, it's not hand drawn. Yeah, 90. Yeah, but that's pretty cool. All right. Now, Batman's getting so sad. I do not think that this box is going to do well in the modern era that we live in. For people asking to judge a $500 box, especially since all the other boxes were either mainstream or just had a couple of independent, and they were mainstream independent. So while I don't expect us to do well in our little tournament, I appreciate this. I will not pretend that I didn't think it was strange going through it, but I get it. And so thank you, buymycomix. I know it's not a wonderful review, but there you go. Yeah, thank you. We're moving on to the next one.